Antoine Richardson, who used to play for them only for a little bit, but he was the first base coach for the New York Mets. So I'm I imagine, Terry, I haven't really taken a look yet. I try not to delve too deeply into Twitter responses from guys like David O'Brien on things like this. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine there's a lot of Braves fans that are like, wait a minute, you're letting go of a successful pitching coach, and you're bringing in the guy from the Mets. Right. And you're bringing in a first base coach and an infield instructor, and his name's not Ron Washington, mm-hmm. even though Wash is available. Mm-hmm. So I can appreciate a level of skepticism. But at the same time, here's maybe your new blood and your new voices. You have the continuity of the guy at the top, at least the manager of the team. I won't say at the top, but with Anthopoulos. But you have Walt. I think Eddie Perez is hanging around. At least it sounds like Eddie Perez is going to hang around, but they haven't said they have bullpen coach and catching coach. Anyway, there you go. So the official release said further announcements coming soon.
Right. So maybe Ron Washington does show up because if he can't get a managerial gig, that's a guy I'd want on my staff is Wash. But you do bring up a good point. It's like if you're a Braves fan, you're going, wait a minute, we're stealing from the bleeping Mets?
Yeah, we're getting the Mets.
Really?
We're getting people from So it's interesting. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll have more on that for you throughout the afternoon. David Cloninger is going to join us in just a bit, and Terry's going to have a special guest coming up before we talk to David. But make sure you hang around to hear DC. We'll have Gamecock football. We'll have Gamecock basketball, both men's and women's. And David is, again, going to tell us just how close it was. I think, Terry Ford, that it came down to Walt Weiss and David Cloninger as the final two managing candidates for the Atlanta Braves. So we'll hear directly from DC what his conversations with Alex were like, how close this was, and did David ultimately, just take his name out of consideration because Walt's a little older? I'll be curious to see exactly how David feels.
I'll tell you what happened. I bet you that Anthopoulos looked at Cloninger and said, let me talk to you about your coaching staff and your pitching coach. I got some people for you. And Cloninger went, screw you. If I don't pick my own people, I'm out of here, pal. So you can take that job. You know what you can do with it. See ya. I'm going back to the Post and Courier. Just saying.
That could be it. That would not surprise me either. So we'll find out from David coming up in just a little bit. Meantime, there is some Gamecock football news to go ahead and tell you about. Shane Beamer today on the SEC Coaches Teleconference has let everybody know that Mike Furry, current wide receiver coach, will be the primary play caller once this season gets back underway here next week at Texas A&M. Now, he says there will not be any kind of interim OC. Mike has his job. Sean has his job. Markel Blackwell has his job, as the running backs coach. And they'll come up, as he said, they were already coming up with game plans by committee. Now it'll just be up to Mike Furry to implement those play calls. Others will be on headset. Mike will be the one that's talking to Lenoris. So he has experience doing this, Terry, at multiple levels. So, can't say I'm overly surprised by this. I don't know. I think it matters. I do think it matters. But exactly what went into the decision-making or how much Shane may have already been decided upon this before making the Shula move, we may find out at a later date. But not surprised to hear that Mike Furry will be the guy in game making these calls.
I like this move, and here's why. And there's no offense to Sean Elliott or Blackwell or anybody on the staff. Give Furry a shot. What the heck? What do you got to lose here, Jay? You kind of know what Blackwell can do. You kind of know what Elliott can do. Furry's never done this type of thing on this level. Give him a shot and see what he can do. Let him play call. Let him kind of show you how he maneuvers around in this position. And because you got nothing to lose, right? Maybe he stuns and surprises you, and he's a phenomenal play caller and all these other things. You go, wow, I might have something here I didn't expect. I don't know. I think it's worth giving him the opportunity to call the plays because, again, the other guys have had their shots, right? They've had their skins in the game on this type of level, or in the group of 4 or group of 5 or group of 10 or wherever the hell it is right now. But Furry, he's hey, why not at this point? Let him. It's a little outside the box. Let him do it and see where it goes. And maybe you stumble into something. If you don't, you're already like, what's that? Because you can't really talk to people right now because that's kind of like not cool.
You can't talk directly
to them. You know what you're doing right now, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
So you keep doing that while you just see what Mike Furry can do, and then you, at the end of the year, you sit down and you start to make a plan. I think it's a good idea to go this route.
Yeah, we'll discuss more of that with David coming up a little bit later on, too. Since I know you've got a guest in a second here that you're going to talk to, let me go ahead and get Start Bench Drop out there for everybody today, just a couple of minutes early. Last night, CFB poll release, first one of the year. Anger everywhere, even though there's still a month of football left to play, so don't get your blood pressure up too much. Start Bench Drop these outsiders, Terry, that are on the cusp, and the starter will be the team that you believe has the absolute best chance to be in the playoff. Because right now, if you take a group of 5 team and just look at the 11 rank, the top 11, you got to have a 12th, and it won't be one of these 3 who are 12, 13, and 14. Oklahoma, Utah, Virginia. Start Bench Drop. Give me your give me the team that you think as your starter has the best chance to land inside the college football playoffs 12-team format.
Okay, cool.
Oklahoma, Utah, Virginia. So we'll get into that. Should A&M be number 1? Should Notre Dame be as high as they are? We'll touch on all those things for you, too. I'll turn it back over to you, sir, for what's coming next.
All right, we're going to talk to Toby Edwards, the man, the grand poobah, the CEO who runs the Colonial Cup and the Carolina Cup. Got Colonial Cup coming up this month, so we're going to talk to Toby about all that.
Oh, he's a grand poobah? Does he wear one of those hats?
He wears the Water Buffalo Lodge hat. I don't know if you knew that. He does. Now you're interested.
Please have photographic evidence. Oh, I was already interested. Now I'm intrigued.
You're intrigued. That's the word. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So we got Toby Edwards coming up from the Colonial Cup, and also the man who takes care of the Carolina Cup as well. That's next. We're going to hang out with him. You ready? You set? You good?
I'm all set. Let's do it.
No baseboards? All right. That's next here on the postgame show. No, we've gotten our start bench drop already, and we'll get back to that here in just a little bit. But first, we're going to talk some Colonial Cup, the 50th anniversary, sponsored and presented by Mulligan Law in Camden on Sunday, November 23rd. And the countdown's even on the website. It's so cool. 17 days, 12 hours, 39 minutes, and now 49 seconds. And the man that runs this entire show out in Camden is our buddy Toby Edwards. Toby, always good talking with you, man, because no one knows horse racing like you. Nobody runs a better event than you, and we love your cool British accent. So thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Terry, thanks for having me. It's always good to catch up with you when it's getting close to race time.
All right, so 50th anniversary. What all cool kind of things do you have coming up to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Colonial Cup?
Well, you're right. 50 years. First race was 1970. We skipped a few years in around 2019 through last year. Cool things that we have coming up. How about the second annual Colonial Cup Corgi races?
Oh.
Who doesn't love that?
Man, Corgi. Now, are there jockeys on the Corgis, or the Corgis running without jockeys?
No, we're just jockeyless corgis, so they don't always tend to run in a straight line. But it's quite a spectacle. We had great fun with that inaugural event last year, so we decided to bring it back. Great crowd pleaser. Lots of other exciting things. Fantastic tailgate contest sponsored by the local Piggly Wiggly here in Camden, so you can really fancy up your tailgate, bring out the family silver, and enter that competition. Always fun to see the creative ways that people decorate their tailgate spaces.
Fantastic. Toby Edwards with us. The man in charge of everything is Colonial Cup, the 50th anniversary, presented by Mulligan Law. Again, Sunday, November 23rd in Camden. All right, Toby, also, we talk about this all the time. We want to get it out there to folks if they haven't been before, or maybe they just moved to the area and they're new to all this, that the Colonial Cup is a very family event. You know, there's places for the kids to run around and play and do all sorts of stuff and get dirty. And obviously there's places for the adults. There's tailgates. So it's a very family-type event.
Absolutely. It's all about families. We have a fantastic kids zone sponsored by True Vista. Lots of different activities in the kids zone for children, and that is totally free all day. And kids 12 and under are free to the event. So we really encourage families to come out and not just enjoy the horse racing, but enjoy the kids zone. Fantastic shopping experience in the holiday market. Lots of different unique vendors back there. You can think about getting some Christmas presents for those hard-to-buy people in your life that we all have. And so, yeah, plenty to do, as well as watching the 6 championship races that we have on the day.
Now, how many years did you ride?
Gosh, I rode for about 20 years myself until the early 2000s. I never won the Colonial Cup, unfortunately. I never had a fast enough horse.
Man, you should have said, "Hey, look, guys, this horse, I've got to win this thing. I've been riding for a while now. I need a faster horse." You should have negotiated, worked that out.
Yeah, but I couldn't persuade my owners to buy faster horses. That was the problem, right?
Hey, do you remember the last ride? You got to remember your last ride, don't you?
I do, and I'll tell you a quick, brief story. The last race I rode was in 2002, and I finished second. And it was a race that I always felt I could have won. So 10 years later, I came back. I made a return to the races, and I rode one race, and I won it, and then I retired. Because I always wanted to retire having ridden a winner. And that horse in 2002 I thought was a dead cert to win. And as I say, I got beaten, a very short head, finished second. I was very disappointed, but I'd already decided to retire. So yeah.
So tell me the truth. How bad did finishing second eat at you?
It still eats at me today. Because nobody remembers second, right? They only remember winners.
Exactly.
You know?
If you're second, you're just the first loser, right? That's just the way it goes.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you came back and won. That's so funny. Now, did you, after you won, let me ask you this. After you won that next race, did you get itchy keep going, or were you like, nope, that's it. I won. I'm done.
No, I got off the horse, and the announcer walked up to me. He said, well, welcome back, Toby, to a great winning ride. We're looking forward to seeing you out there again. And I said, you're not going to see me again. I am retiring.
That's fantastic.
I went straight to the hospitality tent and had a well-earned beer.
Right. Hey, and we're talking to Toby. The man is behind everything at the Colonial Cup and also the Carolina Cup, which is coming up next year as well. 50th anniversary of the Colonial Cup. If someone wants to get tickets, find out pricing, things of that nature, what would they do? Yeah, everything on our website, colonialcup.org, or do call the office, and that number is 803-432-6513. We'll be able to answer any questions you might have, but the website is got all that information on it as well. So, reach out to us. We'd love to have you out here. If you've not been, it really is a spectacular day and a great family day out. I mean, the gates open at 9 a.m. and then it gets rolling, man, and it just goes all day long till almost 4 o'clock. That's right. Yep. Gates open at 9. Kids Zone opens at 10, and as does the holiday market. And then we've got the hat contest, tailgate contest, the corgi races, and then the first steeplechase race is at 1 o'clock. I'm thinking for the 50th anniversary, Toby Edwards has to make a comeback. You with me? Come on, man. All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it on the line. The winner of the 50th running of the Colonial Cup is going to be Cool Jet. Oh, Cool Jet. All right, I'm writing this down, man. I'm writing it down. Cool Jet. I got you, Toby. We'll talk again soon about this Cool Jet thing. All right. Well, there we go. That's the best I can do, right? Well, I tell you, we appreciate you like always. Again, Toby Edwards, Colonial Cup, the man behind everything that goes on in Camden. Thanks a lot, my friend. It's always good catching up with you. We'll hang out soon. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Terry. Appreciate the time. All right, thank you. That's Toby Edwards. Colonial Cup, again, 17 days, 12 hours, 32 minutes, now 28 seconds. Sunday, November 23rd in Camden. Sponsored or presented by Mulliken Law, the 50th running of the Colonial Cup. We'll pop back in here. David Cloninger from the Post and Courier is going to jump in with us and talk some Gamecocks, also talk some Braves, and maybe, just maybe, we can get the dirt behind David's interview process to be the manager of the Atlanta Braves. It's coming up next here on the post-game show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips on the game.
All right, listen, you can always relax in a hot tub, right? You can't always go swimming in the pool. But at Griffin Pools and Spas, they can get both of those things done for you. Now would be a great time, by the way, if you're interested in an in-ground pool, to get that done in the off-season. So when the next swim season comes around, bang, you're ready to go. But if instead you would like a brand new hot tub, check out what they've got from Bullfrog Spas. These are fantastic. They are personalized. Every single seat you can customize with different jets, different places to just feel that much better. They've also got the ability to incorporate Bluetooth sound that is obviously completely waterproof, so you can enjoy your favorite tunes while you're relaxing out back. This is a great gift idea for that special somebody that's been wanting one. Not too far away from that kind of time, are we? So check them out online, griffinpoolsandspas.com. Steps away from the Lake Murray Dam. Relax with a Bullfrog Spa from Griffin Pools and Spas.
All right, post-game show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips. Appreciate you hanging out. Don't forget, Carolina calls at 7 on Thursday. I think that's Dawn Staley there, Jay Phillips.
I know her.
Yeah, we've heard of her. That'll be 7 to 8, and then Thursday Night Football here on the game. Right now, though, from the Post and Courier, we thought...
Whoa, you didn't say who's playing Thursday Night Football. You didn't say who's playing Thursday Night Football.
I can't remember off the top of my head. You know?
It's the Broncos.
Wow, I forgot all about that. I'm glad you reminded me.
Yep.
I forgot all about the Broncos playing Thursday Night Football.
And the Raiders.
Yeah, well, that should be an easy W. It's a Raiders.
That's the goal.
It's a Raiders. You should only get half a win for that. Seriously, it's a Raiders. Come on.
No, it's the NFL, man.
It's a Raiders.
It's the NFL.
All right, we thought we would be talking to the new manager of the Atlanta Braves. Let's be real when we set this up. Obviously, David Cloninger walked away from the offer to stay at the Post and Courier. So, hey, Dave, we need the dirt on this. What happened, man? We thought you were in.
Well, the fact is that when I went down for the interview, I said, hey, this is a nice office, but it doesn't have its own private bathroom. And they said, nah, you could just use the one in the clubhouse. And I said, I'm not sharing a bathroom with 25 other guys. I mean, what is this, college? So, we just couldn't get over that hump. And the fact that I'd have to work for a requisite moron in Alex Anthopoulos. So I said, all right, here's the deal. I'll take a pay cut. I'll do it for $50,000, and I'll live at the stadium so you won't have to pay a housing stipend. And I'll be the general manager, too, because we can't just keep letting this idiot run things.
So when you call him, what was your nickname for him just now? Your name, a resident?
A parasitic imbecile. I have a lot of them.
So when you look at him and say, hi, personally, I think you're a parasitic imbecile. How did that start the interview on a good foot?
Yeah, pretty much. And then once he rose to say something, I said, sit back down, or I'm going to pluck every hair out of that beard. And I'm going to weave it into a homemade pistol. And then you don't want to know what I'm going to do. So,
oh, my.
I'm not a fan of him. And this is right
so many visuals.
Said, by the way, the first baseman you gave away just won a second straight World Series ring. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And as for your Broncos there, Jay, I was teaching my son how to play Tecmo Bowl the other day. I cut it off when it was 35-7 before halftime. No, you were not winning.
Oh, old Tecmo Bowl?
Old Tecmo Bowl. Undefeated and untied, baby.
Yeah, well, that's when Bo played for the Raiders, and you couldn't stop him, man. It was ridiculous.
Well, I can stop him because I'm with the 49ers defense, and Bo never met Ronnie Lott.
I would tell you, any man who would cut his finger off on the sideline to keep playing is a bad dude.
That's right.
Just saying.
So I don't want to hear about this groin pull nonsense. Unless you got something bad enough to cut off a finger, you could play.
We'll come back around. DC's going to hang around till the end of the hour, so we're going to come back around to his thoughts on the Braves. But let's jump in. Big news for the football team first. David, Mike Furrey will be what Shane says is the primary play caller by committee for game planning. Do we expect anything else to come of this in terms of announcements, or is this Mike Furrey's job until further notice?
I think that it's his job until further notice, guys. I mean, there's 3 games left in the season, and obviously they've been through a lot. There's not too many original offensive staffers left. So it'll be a collaborative effort between Shane Beamer, Markwell Blackwell, Sean Elliott, Mike Furrey, all those guys who are really still left on the offensive staff to help out and, design the plan, say, hey, this is what we do best, let's do that. And then it'll be up to Furrey to signal it in on game days. So, there might be a couple of other small announcements like, hey, we're going to let this guy help out with quarterbacks since there's not technically a quarterback coach. And there might be, Mike Furrey thinks he might go up to the booth now and help call or stay on the field, whatever's the opposite of what he's doing now. But it won't be anything too extensive. Obviously, there's a very short time period involved here, so they'll just get it together and go out there at Texas and see what they can do.
All right, David, since you did so well in that Braves interview with your honesty with Alex Anthopoulos, all right, let's say that, Shane calls you up and says, hey, DC, there's one thing you want to see this offense start doing besides scoring points. What would it be?
Well, I mean, obviously you got to get the team in position to start scoring points, and I'd say you guys do know that there are passing routes besides throw it deep to Nick Harbor. You do know that. You remember how we used to do it in the backyard playing when you get down on your knee in the dirt and draw it up there? and you would pretty much always say, square in, you go deep. Well, they got the deep part, but it was always just incredulous to me, saying, like, guys, I mean, where are your slants? Where are your sideline routes? Where are you go out 5 and cut, and I'll hit you in the middle? Maybe that's Lenore Sellers not having as good of a safety net as he did last year, and Josh Simon. But maybe it's something else, as in, like, I mean, you're not really helping yourself out. You know your line can't block. So why don't you give him some intermediate receivers to try to throw to? So that's what I would do personally. And then saying, by the way, guys, I don't know if you knew this, but passes help open up the run game. Again, getting back to Tecmo Bowl, and before that, I was raised on the Bill Walsh playbook. So you pass to set up the run.
Yep.
That's what happens. You know, that's how that works. But USC, at least through the first 9 games here, and sometimes it did work, it was, hey, we're going to run to set up the run. Okay, but you just got stuffed for -5 yards, and that was after a drive where you went 3 and out, and I think the final third down was 3rd and 17. Yeah, we're going to run. Okay. So, you know, I think really all options are on the table at this point. Guys, just throw something else out there, because if it don't work, you can't possibly look any worse.
Well, and David, on that note, I mean, I think you make a great point. That's something Terry and I have been talking about too. Where are those intermediate routes? Where are those underneath routes? Where are more things to the tight end on a more consistent basis? And you know they've got some guys that can do it, and you know Mike Furry is trying to teach his guys things beyond go deep. So my question to you, saying those things, is something that I've asked a couple of times this week. Have you heard, do you believe, those can be two different answers, that while you don't celebrate the departure or the firing of someone, is this a move that could, you know, in a positive way, ignite these players to say we want to be doing more, we're not asked to do more, it's been very vanilla? What are you hearing about that aspect of trying to get these guys to have more fun?
Well, Jay, I think that's a big part of it. And, you know, no one's having fun when you're losing. No one's having fun when you're on the same plays that aren't working and you're showing no willingness to try to experiment. I mean, you did see some creativity on the first drives of every game. You did see from Vanderbilt up to Oklahoma some attempts to work the edges, to move the pocket, to let Lenore Sellers kind of get loose and do what he does. But there needed to be a whole lot more of that. And then, of course, the Alabama game offensively looked good. It was good enough to win. The quarterback fumbled. But then last week against Ole Miss, I think it was when Matt Fuller on 4th and inches, first of all, you take a shotgun snap and then have him run to the edge, and that didn't work. Like, I mean, how hard is this, guys? There's one play when it's 4th and inches. One. Just one.
Yeah.
You go jumbo, and you go up the middle, and that's it. There doesn't need to be anything else. You guys are making this harder than it has to be. So I think the players would like or will be excited if there are a few more wrinkles that get them in space to try to get the ball moving, to try to move fast, to get in the rhythm. That said, guys, the weakness of this offense is the offensive line, which has played better under Sean Elliott, but is still miles away from where it needs to be. So I'm also smart enough to know you're not going to get anywhere if you don't have a great line in front of you. So that's where the struggle is. How do you design a playbook that addresses what you've been missing, yet also takes into account they're not going to keep the heat off of Linares for too long, and he's going to have to deliver the ball quick to get it out some way. So where is the line in between finding that? I don't know. But I think there is a lot of truth what Shane Beamer said last week. Hey, if we only got to run 10 plays and say that's it, that's it. Okay. For a third time, let's mention Tecmo Bowl. 4 plays. 4. And, you know, you always stood a 25% chance. Well, the defense called that one, so it's a sack. Well, that's pretty much what's going on right now. So what can hurt?
David, really quick, I want to throw something at you. When Jay brought up an interesting point about having fun again. In that Ole Miss game, there were a couple times Lenore Sellers, who typically doesn't show a whole lot of emotion, showed some emotion in the second half. When that pitch to Fuller that went wrong, Linares kind of threw his hands up in the air as the ball was being fumbled. Then when he was sacked on the 2-man rush with the spy, he got up and spiked the ball on the ground on his way to the sideline. When you got the stoic guy starting to show frustration, how much of a concern is that just in the small picture of your quarterback?
Well, it's pretty concerning because he's got to be the guy that commands everything, and you always want to see a calm head there. That said, I feel so sorry for him. because you just really can't do anything when you snap the ball and there's a man in your face 2 seconds after, especially when they're only rushing 2. I mean, that just cannot happen right now, and I understand that busts are a part of the game, but busts happen way too frequently for this offense, and it's happened for quite a while. Now, last year they won, you could say, hey, man, they won 9 games with that same kind of line production last year. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it is they won 9 games in spite of it, because you go back and look at the sack numbers, and you say, yeesh. Boy, but you had a running back who could get through it, and I will keep saying it, as I've said since week 3, you have a back who can get through that now with Matt Fuller, yet he doesn't play full-time. But that's just my opinion. We'll see what has to happen, but you are going to have to look at it and say, how do you have kids to have fun again? You get them in places where they can be successful, and you win the game. This next one coming up, guys, I don't know if they're going to win no matter what they throw, and that would have been the case before Mike Shula left, before Lonnie Teasley left. Sometimes you're just going to go up against a team that's better than you, and Texas A&M has got a vicious, nasty defense. So I don't envy Mike Furry this week for trying to come up with a game plan with all of his known handicaps for USC going up against that D. But this is what happened. You have to go try to make it happen.
Talking to David Cloninger. DC is kind enough to hang out with us here for the last few minutes of the hour. On the other side, to get into a couple of quick thoughts on men's and women's hoops as both teams open with wins at CLA. And again, a final thought or two from David on the hiring of Walt Weiss. You're listening to the Wednesday postgame show.
Getting a check on the traffic. An accident has been cleared I-26 eastbound at I-20 exit 107B. Our typical construction is happening I-126 between Hugie and I-26, I-26 between Bush River Road, exit 108A, and Old Sandy Run Road, exit 125, and I-20 between I-26, exit 64 and 65 at Broad River Road. All right, we are yapping with our buddy David Cloninger from the Post and Courier here on the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford, as we roll up until 6. All right, DC. Last night, man, we've got a men's basketball team again. We know the opponent is not an SEC caliber crew, but gunning threes, playing a little faster, seeing some fancy offensive type sets. What were your first thoughts watching game one for the men's basketball team?
Well, Terry, it was exactly what I'd been told I was going to see. This team's going to shoot a lot of threes. This team's going to get them down the floor. They've got some exciting players, some guys that can really make it happen, and they're still a work in progress defensively. The biggest weakness, I think, that you saw was really not a lot of post presence. And even if things go exactly like they're hoping they should, I don't know how much post presence you're going to have. Simply put, is that Elijah Strong and Chris Esendoko have got to work their way into being productive players right now. That's not a knock on them. It's just learning this system and learning to play defense the way Lamont Paris wants them to. But right now, you just don't have a lot of offense in the post. That said, your guards, you got a lot of them that you can shuttle in and out. I mean, really, they started a 5-guard lineup if you consider Norden Kapik a guard as well. So if you score 90 points a night, you're going to do okay. But you're going to run into nights where the threes aren't falling, and you're going to have to play some defense. So that was exactly what I thought I would see, and it was exciting to see. So just got to go to the next game and say, okay, see if you could improve incrementally, and hopefully those threes still keep falling.
They shared the basketball well, 22 assists on 31 made buckets. That was nice. Michi led the way in points, David. Eli Ellis did not start, the very talented freshman newcomer, but he did play the most minutes. Take me into those two things, and does he ultimately work his way into the starting five?
Well, we'll see. I mean, nothing against Eli because he plays very above his limitations, but there's nothing he could do about his height. And maybe you just want to get somebody out there with a little more height, particularly for the defensive end, so you can get a bigger lead. That said, he's already a crowd favorite. The students were just overjoyed and stood up, when he shot his first basket. He's unafraid. He's absolutely unafraid of failure because he knows how good he can be. He is confident, and he put on some great moves in the paint. And you could already see him learning, like, okay, I just tried to twist in between 2 6'8" guys, and that didn't go very well. So maybe I better not try to get that close to the basket unless I'm on the break. But still, he's dialing in Steph Curry threes, and there's nowhere to go but up, and he's already really, really good. So we'll see. I would not expect to see him in the starting lineup anytime soon, but that's okay because even the sixth man can affect, a lot of games.
All right, David, real quick, what is the floor for expectation for Carolina basketball this year for Lamont Paris? With a floor.
The infamous expectation. Well, floor would be what they did last year. Just a couple 3 wins in the SEC play and not getting into the NCAA tournament again or really stiff in the postseason. That would be the floor, and it would not be a good place to be.
David, just over a minute left here. Dawn's team rolled to an easy victory. It was nice to see Winston come back in, obviously a terrific part of this program for many, many years. Again, a lot of sharing of the basketball. Tanaya Latson comes in, leads the way with her points. Raven had a terrific game at the 1. This team is a little bit different, but expectations are not. What does that mean moving forward as this non-con schedule beefs up real quick here in just a few days' time?
Final Four is the goal. National Championship's the goal. And nobody else cares that you're down a couple of players. They know that they can get over it, although they were tremendous losses. But the problem is, like, for the exhibition and for this game last night, every time somebody takes a bump and stays down on the floor, you're going to be holding your breath. Raven Johnson was okay. I hear Maddie McDaniel's okay. But every time it happens, it's going to be, oh, Lord. Because they know, one more goes down with a substantial injury, and it's going to get real, real, real thin.
All right, we'll let you out on this. David Cloninger's grading of the Walt Weiss hire as the new manager of the Atlanta Braves.
There's something to be said for continuity. He knows the kids. He knows the system. He's just like Brian Snitker was, and he's a nice, friendly, genial sort until you cross him because he takes absolutely no crap off anybody. So I'm going to say, with that resume, again, I think you know somebody who's been with the Braves a lot longer than Walt. That would be me. But apparently they don't like it in the interviews when you go in and cuss out your would-be boss first thing. So he's already made some good moves. He who shall not be named, the manager that was here before Snit, is no longer employed by the Braves. That's a great move. But he also hired 2 coaches from the Mets, which I was like, gee, someone got enough losers around here already. But hopefully get it straightened out. And I still have a Walt Weiss rookie card somewhere, 1990 Oakland A's.
Nice.
So, or 1988 Oakland A's. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Good stuff, sir, as always. We appreciate the extra time. We'll see you soon. That's David Cloninger, DCP&C on Twitter, postcourier.com, and make sure you're signed up for David's Gamecock newsletter. Lots of great stuff in there each and every week. All right, hour 2, Tara and I will delve into the CFP poll and who should be angry, especially with a month of football left. That's all coming up on the postgame show.
CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. You know, I'm sitting here. I'm sorry I didn't start quicker, but I am just mesmerized by the things I see on the website all the time with CHW Cabinetry. Star and the crew. I mean, again, photorealistic renderings. This is great. From beginning to end, you get to see laid out in front of you the project. And it's just a great way to show you and keep you involved as everything goes step by step. Photorealistic renderings. I'm looking at the website right now. I was like, wow, they do closets. So I'm looking at all the cool, wonderful closets they've done at CHW Cabinetry. Some of these closets are bigger than my house. And they have made it happen by building fantastic closets in the cabinets in the closets. Call 803-520. 6837. Again, 803-520-6837. CHW Cabinetry. Go down, sit with the crew, and they will make it happen for you. Powered by our buds at US Brick. It is a post-game show. Talk some college football playoff. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, as we roll this baby up until 6. All right, Mack Rhodes is the college football playoff chair. And I'm going to get to this real quick, Jay, and then we'll talk about our thoughts from day one of the college football playoff rankings. Here is Mack Rhodes talking about focusing on more than just overall record.
Yeah, I think it's always part of the discussion when we're talking about wins and losses. That's extremely important. But again, we have a variety of tools at our disposal, and so not one is weighted more than the other. We're sitting here and we're looking at head-to-head. We're looking at common opponent. We're looking at schedule strength. We're looking at record strength. We're looking at all of the analytics, and so we truly try to look at each team on its own and its body of work. And I think that's why we wait as a committee, CFP, to begin our rankings, at this point in time of the year, where we've got a body of work that we can look at for each of the teams.
So, I mean, you and I had this conversation.
I think I know what he just said. I think I know what he just said.
You know what? You're
right?
better than me because I'm so confused. Yeah, that was some salad. That was a word buffet. What I'm hoping he meant, and we'll find out as we go along, this is just week one, is we're not just going to look at, well, you've got 2 losses and you've got 1. Well, the team with 1 loss automatically goes ahead of the team with 2 losses because the team with 2 losses has 2 losses and the team with 1 loss has 1. I'm hoping they delve a little bit more into body of work and resume and who you've beaten and who you've lost to and the strength of who you've played compared to the weakness of who you played and all that other mumbo-jumbo. Because last year, there was a lot of talk of how much all that mattered compared to just your 1-loss record, right?
Right. Look, for instance, should Texas A&M be number 1 when you look at their resume and who they've beaten and where relative to Ohio State or Indiana? I saw some people not necessarily making a case for that, but at least explaining why it could be the way it is. That said, why is Notre Dame ahead of Miami based on some of the things that Mac just talked about?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's Notre Dame has 2 close losses and 1 good win going for them,
I guess.
Right?
Uh-huh.
But Miami, I guess, now has a bad loss to go along with the good win over Notre Dame. And let's not be naive. There's a lot of people out there, this is only about Notre Dame getting in because they're Notre Dame. It might be, man. I'm not sitting there saying I'm not accusing anybody of that, but I have said for years when this was a 4-team playoff, they're putting together television shows.
Mm-hmm.
They don't you can't buy into they're putting together the 4 best teams or now the 12 best teams or whatever the heck else,
Mm-hmm.
So Terry, look, it's only the first one, and they have these new strength of record metrics and other, I forget exactly what they want to call them, and the things that who, by the way, Mack Rhodes is the AD of Baylor, for those who wonder what his current gig is, in addition to being chair of the CFP committee. I don't know that I have a whole lot of problems with what we saw. I mean, you do have to, at least I think, look at it from the standpoint that this is where their mind is right now, and they do have Notre Dame in a place where I'm not so sure Notre Dame should be. But other than that, and that's part of our start bench drop today, Oklahoma, Utah, Virginia, they're on the outside of a perceived bracket. If we had the top 11 plus Memphis, who is not ranked, but they did designate Memphis last night as the best group of 5 or group of 6 school, whatever you want to call those guys now. Again, I don't know anymore.
Right.
Although it does feel like Memphis's 1 loss
it's an awful
is
loss,
definitely
man.
the worst loss of the 3 1-loss teams. But since Memphis beat South Florida, then there's that. So,
well, see, that's my thing right there, and you hit something very interesting. Okay, so. And that's the feeling, right? Memphis beat South Florida, so they are where they are. Well, really, James Madison and North Texas almost have a better case to be ahead of Memphis in some ways if you look at body of work, and they don't have a loss anywhere as bad. I mean, UAB didn't even have a coach. I mean, they were being coached by their mascot, and they took out Memphis.
Did you know it was Chris Mortensen's kid, by the way?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. Very
that's
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. But then again, are you taking into account the head-to-head victory Miami had over Notre Dame? Because Miami's fallen to 18, man. And they got the same record Notre Dame does, and they beat Notre Dame head-to-head.
And they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, so, again, here we go, Jay. It's only week 1, and you and I always say this. It typically will play itself out because, you got wins and losses still in games, even though Notre Dame's schedule is pretty easy moving forward in theory. The toughest game to me is at Pitt. But once again, we have these inconsistencies of, well, hey, Mac, if all that matters, you just said whatever you just tossed on the buffet, but what we see doesn't match it. And we're going to, again, we started that road early here, and there's a long way to go, but you just shake your head with, look, I'll throw out the other one. Because I think Notre Dame's only there because they're Notre Dame. If we took the name off of that resume and just put blind resume up there, I think they would be sitting different in these rankings. That's just me.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And the other part of this, though, and again, this is nitpicky, but if we're looking at Texas A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State, the total body of work, A&M's got a better total body of work than Ohio State. But Ohio State's defending national champion. They're Ohio State. They're going to get the one spot to start. Okay, I get it. But, just say that. Say, look, defending national champions undefeated, and they pretty much road graded everybody. And the only game they had that was supposedly against a tough opponent, they won at home by 7. Okay, fine. I'll go with you. But don't give me all this other fertilizer about Ohio State's body of work because it isn't there. Indiana's got the best win of the crew, to be honest.
I think Indiana, I agree with you out there 100%. I think Indiana has the single best win of the season thus far. And on that note, because they beat Oregon, and Oregon last night was basically, the word I used was dinged for their strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, and I don't have a problem with this. I don't know how you feel, but I talk about things in the now. So I know yesterday you were talking about, when teams got beat, and I'm not saying this about you directly, Terry, as much as, hey, they were ranked at the time. Well, if they're not anymore, like how much, So in other words, Penn State, when Oregon went to Penn State and won in overtime, that was a big deal. Now, a month later, it's like, meh.
Yeah.
When Alabama lost to Florida State, then some teams beat, then Florida State was doing a little bit, and then all of a sudden they weren't. Like now, all of a sudden that's becoming a bad loss for Alabama. So what I guess the committee last night said Oregon is so far back because their only good win is now no longer a good win, and they were beaten at home by a team ranked ahead of them, and we think those SEC teams in between are simply have better resumes than Oregon does. So, again, they're kind of all over the place with that part of the equation as well. But I don't have a problem with looking at everybody's opponent in terms of where they are here the first week in November. So, Florida State's 4-4.
Yeah,
that doesn't bother me. Penn State is now 3-5 or whatever.
They lost 5 straight. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bother. And remember, the 3. I mean, God bless them. The 3 were high school games.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm sorry, Penn State, but you got to challenge yourself in the non-con, and you chose not to. So I just look at some of those things, Terry, and I'm not saying the committee's all over the place. And again, it's only the first one. There's games to be played. We might have a de facto elimination game in the Big 12 this weekend. Texas Tech and BYU. That's a top 10 game right now. But the loser is no longer going to be in the bracket, if you want to look at it that way.
That is going to be a game, and you're right. In some ways, it's whoever loses, really, if Texas Tech loses, because that'll be their second loss.
That'll
really be a problem for Texas Tech. BYU, man, they never get love in this thing. And I was funny. I was reading that ESPN had a anger index today. And they said BYU is on constant anger from the last 2 years. Remember, they were angry last year too because they were
10-2 last year. Yeah.
They put up BYU's resume with Ohio State's. It's about the same. But again, BYU's sitting at 7 and Ohio State's at 1. But
and BYU's undefeated. Yeah. So it's weird, man. Mm-hmm. I get it how they're trying to look at some of these strength of schedule and strength of record numbers. Let's see when it really starts to matter here, 2 polls from now, Let's see if they're feeling the same way as they seem to have felt last night.
Yeah, and again, that's the thing. Getting angry about this now makes no sense, and because there's so many more polls that are going to come out. And, as you look at it, the SEC, because remember, they don't want that 4 auto bid thing, because hey, we could get more. Why are we settling for 4? So right now, if you look at this thing, in the top 25, the SEC has 9, I believe it is, and the Big Ten has 7. And in position to possibly be in the playoff or sniffing around it is A&M, Bama, and Georgia, and Ole Miss, and Texas, and near the, they're right there at the bottom, and so is Oklahoma. To me, it's going to be interesting how it plays out, Jay, how many SEC teams actually make this thing, because, again, the bottom of the league is strong. If you get bored, look at the bottom of the Big Ten. It's embarrassing. You got
there's
3 or
3
4
winless teams, right?
Yes, and you got 2 teams with 1 win. Like 5 or 6 teams in the bottom of the Big Ten. I don't know if they'd go win games in the Sun Belt. I'm just being honest. So, how much are you beefing up your 1-loss record in the Big Ten if you're one of the big dogs smacking these guys around?
Yeah, you're not. That's just it. And I'm just looking at a couple of schedules right now. I mean, again, Indiana. It's just not impressive. I mean, they have Penn State this weekend. Then they have Wisconsin, who's terrible. Then Purdue, who's terrible. I mean, but I'll give Indiana credit, Terry. I mean, with one exception, the Iowa game at Iowa, dude, they'll whoop you.
What they've done to people is a felony.
Yeah,
yes.
they're beating people, so I give them that. Ohio State, again, looks kind of boring, and that's, by the way, one of the things the committee said was, well, we really like the line of scrimmage play with Ohio State. I'm like, what?
Oh,
like, what?
So now that's a metric, Jay. The line of scrimmage is a metric.
They talked about line play and stuff, and I, because again, I'm not saying that A&M should be number 1, but to your point about blind resumes and such, boy, it'd be tough to say if I put those top 3 together and didn't tell you who was who, but only who they beat and where their strength of record and strength of schedule were. I think A&M's number 1, man.
I tell you what, though, I like that Indiana long snapper. I value long snapping.
Sure. But now, and Indiana's a 14.5-point favorite at State College.
I'll tell you something. Penn State falling apart, Jay, has really hurt the Big Ten's strength numbers. It really has.
Yeah, big time. Well, we'll see. I know we got a little bit more on that, so we'll come back around to it. But I'll say too, one more time, Terry. It's they're putting together a TV show.
Oh, sure, absolutely they are. There's no doubt about it. No doubt. Who's going to get higher ratings? Notre Dame or
Well, that's why we said last year, look, somebody in Burbank, not somebody in Bristol, somebody in Burbank called up somebody and said, "You put Southern Methodist in and not Alabama. You do realize what we're trying to do here."
Right. Ready? Where the bleep is Louisville ahead of Notre Dame? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Man. We didn't pay all this money for Southern Methodist to be in the playoff. God bless you, Southern Methodist.
Nothing against you, Southern Methodist.
That's not the way this is supposed to go down.
Right. Oh, bad.
All right, we'll get into that for you too. And again, if you didn't hear, Shane has made some news today on the short-term future for the Gamecock offense. So we'll have all that for you too when the post-game show rolls along. When it comes to home theater all across the Midlands of South Carolina, holiday time is a fantastic time to get the guys into the house and see what they can do for you to spruce things up, not just for this year, but for many, many years to come. You got your favorite holiday shows, all the holiday football and basketball, playoff games right around the corner. That's what we've been talking about. So whatever it is that you want to do it better with integrated media. You may be getting new gaming systems, or someone may be coming down the chimney with new gaming systems, and those things need powerful Wi-Fi all the time so that your kids can stream those things when they're at their buddy's house and everybody's doing whatever. Well, you need commercial grade Wi-Fi built for the home, and integrated media installs that, so there's no dead spots. You can use your Wi-Fi all over the place. One room, whole house, indoors, outdoors. Connect so many things to one app on your phone. 803-948-8327. Nobody better than integrated media.
Quick check on the traffic. We have a few accidents to talk about in West Columbia. Augusta Road near Watling Road. In Columbia, Corley Mills Road, or Corley Mill Road near US 378 Sunset Boulevard. North Springs Road at Pond Ridge Road. And in Lexington, Sunset Boulevard near Mineral Springs Road. Post-game show, Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, as we kick this baby till 6. Again, tomorrow night, Carolina calls. Dawn Staley jumping in tomorrow. Of course, Shane and the football crew with an off week. Then we have Thursday Night Football. Who's playing, I can't remember. And Friday, special version of our high school football scoreboard show, because the women play Friday night at 7. And once that's over, then we'll have high school football scoreboard show with Elijah and Justin. All right, now you can blab
Man, so
about
it's
your
like
Broncos. Go ahead.
High school scoreboard show after dark, huh? That sounds
Exactly.
That sounds
dangerous.
Interesting. Yeah, Broncos and Raiders tomorrow night. Go Broncos. That's all I'll say about that. That's all I'll say.
Not it.
Just go. I don't like the Raiders because they're the rival. It's
They're the
a
Raiders.
divisional game.
Yeah. Even though, come on,
And help me out. Who did the Raiders just send to Jacksonville?
Jacoby Myers, the wide receiver.
Jacoby Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're a little.
But in return, the Raiders got Mark Brunell, so that worked out really well. Those tricky Raiders.
That's good. Gino's doing okay. He's got Brock Bowers back. That helped.
Gino's terrible. You're such a
Did
nice
you watch?
guy.
I was watching Red Zone the other day, and I mean Brock Bowers
He's a
is
beast. He's
man.
a beast.
He's about to become the best tight end in football. I'm not sure he's quite there yet, but he's real close.
He's something else, isn't he?
Real.
I mean,
couple of Gamecock things, and we'll come back around to the CFP. We got some basketball that we'll discuss at the top of the hour headlines with Lamont Paris's team winning, and Eli Ellis coming off the bench last night. Played the most minutes of anybody on the team, but he did not start. But he played 27 minutes. And again, Carolina against an NCAA team. I don't know how good they are, but they won by 19 points. But anyway, football-wise, a couple of things. And we'll tie them together a little bit here, Terry. First off, in the short term, Shane Beamer has announced that wide receiver coach Mike Furry, who's also pass game coordinator, will become the primary play caller in game once Carolina gets back to action next week at Texas A&M. So much like they've done throughout Shane's tenure, it'll be a game plan by committee through the week, and Mike Furry will now be charged with calling the plays once kickoff has happened for these next 3 ball games. So there's that, and I don't have much more to say on that. I mean, that sounds fine to me. I don't, like you said, Terry. Hey, let's see. Mike has some experience at this. Let's see what he can do, and maybe he can be a guy to help get his core group, the receivers, going a little bit more. Maybe there were plays there that simply didn't develop. Maybe there were plays that Mike Shula just didn't want to call because he didn't have faith in it. Maybe Mike Furry has a different angle and approach. We'll see. But you got to do something different. If you have any chance at all, obviously you can't lose. I mean, every game Carolina plays, when it comes, and it starts with the first one. Because if you don't win that one, then it doesn't matter anymore. You just try to, win for pride over 2 in-state teams at Williams-Brice and close out the season as best you can. But, the A&M game, to have any postseason hopes is truly a must-win game for South Carolina. But on that note, and looking now big picture, our buddy Chris Lowe, do you have any of this? I don't know if you do, Terry.
I didn't get a chance to snag it. But
okay, I know. Well, I know Chris was on, but Chris has done some talking about Carolina football this week, and Chris Lowe is so well connected across the Southeastern Conference. But we've talked about this already, and it's when you have it reaffirmed from folks outside the state, if you will, because Chris is based in Knoxville, even though he's from Rock Hill, like David Cloninger. You might not have known that.
We never heard David was from Rock Hill. What? Huh?
No, well, he doesn't talk much about it. But, no. Anyway, Chris said that it would basically be asinine for South Carolina to part ways with Shane Beamer now, after this season. That you do see what he's been able to do last year, for whatever reasons, and you can look at, we know what they are primarily. It didn't happen this season, but Shane can go recruit, but. And it's, listen, I don't think, look, Terry, I think the buyout always matters at every school to some degree. But I don't think that's not what it is here. I just, look, I don't think Shane should be let go, number one. I firmly believe that his overall philosophy is still right for Carolina. We know his want to at Carolina. We know he can recruit. But what Chris said, to come back to that story, is Shane. You talk about must-win game. This is a must-win hire when it comes to the new OC. This will be the hire that ultimately, and now I'm kind of paraphrasing where Chris was with this, so I don't put words in his mouth, but this will become the hire that can basically define the Shane Beamer era. Like, you've got to get this one right. You got put behind the 8 ball when Mike Bobo walked out on you a month after you got hired, and you had to go get Marcus Satterfield. That didn't work out well. I think the hiring of Dowell Loggins was a good hire, but Dowell wanted to go be a head coach. Good for Dowell. The Mike Shula hire felt right at the time because he had been a good quarterback coach and advisor with Lenoris last year, but Mike was in over his head in modern college play calling, despite the limitations of an offensive line with problems. So Shane's got to go get this OC hire right, and I don't know what kind of budget that he'll be provided. Shane will be provided from Jeremiah Donati to go make this happen, Terry. My gut tells me that you might need, if you really want the guy that's going to get this done for you, this is probably going to be somewhere around a $2 million hire, unless you know that you go get that young up-and-comer that doesn't need to make that much but has that resume and that want to and that desire. And I don't know who those people are at this point. I think a name like Kendall Briles is a wonderful name for fans to throw around. But, again, I think to lure Kendall out of the state of Texas, especially as he is approaching becoming a head coach himself, is going to cost you a lot of money. Not saying don't do it, but I agree with Chris. You got to get this one right. There is no other. I mean, duh, right? But, I mean, if you don't, then there's wholesale change coming, and I don't think that's something Jeremiah really wants to do.
Well, there's two examples of this, right? We forget how much Vanderbilt was struggling under Clark Lee. And then what'd they do? Oh, Clark took a step back, hired an offensive coordinator from New Mexico State. He brought along his quarterback, and his head coach showed up, too, for medical reasons. And all of a sudden, Clark Lee's a genius, and Vanderbilt is on the cusp of the college football playoff. Eli Drinkwitz was stumbling and bumbling around at 6-6, and he took a step back and said, didn't hire a new OC, but what he did was he gave up the play calling duties to the OC, and since then Missouri has taken off, especially offensively. My point is, you can be around for a good period of time, and Shane obviously has been here for 5 years. You can take a step back and reinvent yourself by making one good hire or one good decision. And so it's possible. And if Shane can, like you said, make the most important hire of his career and hit a home run with it, things can change because we've seen it change in other places.
Yeah, I mean, you can. And again, I don't know who that person is, but they're out there. And this is a school that does. I mean, everybody has their limitations, but Carolina can spend money on this hire, Terry. I don't have any doubt of that. If it has to go be, a coordinator that approaches a $2 million salary, South Carolina can make that happen. I don't have any doubts about that. You'd like to not have to spend that much. But you got to get it right. But I agree with Chris that letting Shane go now, especially in this year's cycle and market, would not be good for South Carolina.
No, I mean, this one is crazy competitive, right? And look at it right now where you're even the SEC. How many programs that have openings would a coach choose over yours, right? I mean, not trying to be mean, just trying to be realistic here.
Well, you can pay people here. Look, if you just want to get paid and all that kind of thing, that's great, or whatever else. But that's why I get, and I don't even like talking about it that way of just kind of floating it out there. Look, I don't think Shane should be let go. I am supportive of Shane's overall philosophy. I do believe in that. I still do. This year, again, why it hasn't gotten right offensively, I'm as puzzled as anyone else. But I still like the overarching theme of what's going on. But you got to get it. You got to get
here's
the
my
next
thing
part
too.
right.
You're 1 year off of almost making the college football playoff.
Yeah.
It's not like this is – look, if this was your third straight 5-7, right, we're having a different conversation. Right. I think that everybody needs to take a breath. Just my opinion. Everybody can think what they want. Take a breath, take a step back, and let's see if get this thing back on the right track where it was last year.
Agreed. We'll come back with some CFP for you. Plus, I saw the number on how much Disney is losing every day in this battle with Google. You seen this? I'll tell you on the other side. Yeah, I'll tell you. All right, lots more to do. not feeling like yourself as you get a little bit older? You wonder why? You don't need to wait for it to change. Don't wait for it to go away. And depending on what some of the issues are, don't be embarrassed to discuss it because you are not alone. But when you see Dr. Dan Balknight and the team at the men's clinic, you'll understand exactly why you're not alone. You'll get a one-on-one consultation. They know what's going on. They'll get to the root of the issues, and they'll get you back to feeling like you used to and like you want to. There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all treatment at the men's clinic. Instead, they are experts in healthcare for men. They're medical professionals dedicated to getting you, like I said, back to where you want to be. So don't be the guy that tries to tough it out. Don't be the guy that's embarrassed. Don't be the guy that says, my dad never went to the doctor. Instead, do it for yourself. Do it for your family. 803-875-MENS. Set up a free consultation or learn more about what they do every day at themensclinicsc.com.
All right, our check on the traffic. We have some accidents to get to in Columbia, Westcott Road between Bush River Road and Green Pines Road. Also, Columbia North Springs Road at Pond Ridge Road. Corley Mill Road near US 378. West Columbia Augusta Road near Watling Road. And in Lexington, Sunset Boulevard near Mineral Springs Road. This one just popped. Stop and go traffic I-26 westbound between Sunset Boulevard exit 110 and St. Andrews Road exit 106. We'll come back, talk more college football playoff rankings on the postgame show. Talking college football playoff on the postgame show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips. Week one of the whole college football playoff rankings What do you think of Mac Rhodes, the new guy that tells us nothing?
I like the sport coat he was wearing.
That was kind of spiffy.
That was a nice tie.
You don't think?
I didn't really like the shirt. I didn't like the shirt, coat, tie combo. I thought the shirt was kind of busy. But maybe that's just the style these days. I don't know. I'm more of a solid shirt guy. But other than that, I don't know. Let's can we hear cut? Was it cut 11? How he explains the 1, 2, and 3, and considering he lives in Waco, I hope nobody from College Station or Bryan or other places where A&M fans may be egged his house. But let's hear Mac Rhodes explain the top 3.
Yeah, we had, robust discussion about the 3 of them. Obviously, all 3 undefeated. We had great discussion about them on Monday. We certainly came back today. We really felt like the committee that Ohio State and Indiana were close. When you looked at the statistical data, both offensively and defensively, 2 teams, both in the top 5 offensively, 2 teams both in the top 5 defensively, both with really good wins. Ohio State, a win against Washington and certainly against Texas. Indiana, a win against Oregon and Iowa. But when we again looked at tape, we looked at metrics, we felt like Ohio State a little bit better up front on the offensive line, and we thought they were better defensively. And then when we looked at statistics and we included Texas A&M as part of the discussion. Again, we just felt like the separator there was defensively, and that those 2 teams, both Ohio State and Indiana, were better defensively. So you're talking about 3 great teams, 3 deserving teams, and we really had, again, great discussion, great debate about the 3.
Mac, hey Mac, question, Mac. Why are they better defensively? Mac, help me out, Mac. Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I say, I'm trying not to get too worked up, and I sometimes feel badly for whomever is in that particular job because they have to go and answer those kinds of questions, and maybe they don't want to. That's why I've said before, Terry, and I'm dead serious about this, I wouldn't want to watch the entire committee meeting. All right, but there are people out there who would, and they could report back. Let us into the meeting. Let us know what you're talking about instead of having to come out with, as you said earlier, the word salad, and then just go, whatever, dude. Like let's hear you break it down. And look, A&M, like I said, you could make a case for any of these 3 being number 1. Does it matter right now? Not really. I think it matters a little because basically what you're saying is if nothing else changes, then this is how we view them. I mean, if A&M runs the table, Terry, and Ohio State and Indiana run the table, does A&M move up? Like, because that would include at the end of the season wins over Texas. And I guess let's see who else. And Missouri. I mean, I can't really count the Carolina game anymore, but you got Texas and Missouri as ranked teams. If I'm not mistaken, Ohio State doesn't have a ranked team left.
Well,
they have Michigan. I'm sorry, they have Michigan.
Yep, that's it. Indiana's got ready. They're at Penn State. They got Wisconsin, and they're at Purdue.
Yeah, and Indiana doesn't have a ranked team left. So A&M has 2 based on the committee ranking, not the poll, the committee ranking. And let's see where Michigan is. Ohio State has to go to Ann Arbor. And, look, last year I still don't know how Michigan won that football game, but they did.
I got no idea. Honestly.
But otherwise, they play UCLA, Purdue, and Rutgers. I mean, this weekend, they're 30-point favorites. I don't have a line on the UCLA game, but the computer, Terry, do you know what the computer gives the chance of you? I'm dead serious. Just take a guess.
Okay.
The percentage chance that UCLA has of winning in Columbus. Percentage chance.
0.5%.
1.5. 1.5. And then a conference game, man. in a conference game.
Yeah.
1.5%. And then Rutgers goes to Columbus. Guess what? Rutgers' opportunity. I'll tell you this. It's better than UCLA's. 2.8.
Well, so combined, Rutgers and UCLA, if you combine them and have them play, there'd be a 4.3% chance those two programs combined could beat Ohio State.
Yes. Meanwhile, you want at Michigan at home. Just take again. Michigan's chance better than Rutgers.
So I'm going to go. I'll be nice on this one. I'm going to say 22%.
You're wrong. It's lower. 20.5.
Oh, that's so good. But
20.5.
I think you make an interesting point that if all three of these teams would win out, A&M's resume would be better than both Ohio State and Indiana if all things hold the way we see them. And, of course, a lot of times they don't. But let's say they did, then the resume would be A&M and then Indiana and then Ohio State. Because, again, Indiana has the better win over than Ohio State with the Oregon W. Because Oregon doesn't play. Well, Oregon does have a couple of tough games. They have Iowa. Oh, they have a couple. They have a couple that could be interesting before it's all said and done. But if all three of those teams win out, Texas A&M's resume would be better than Indiana and Ohio State. Absolutely.
Oregon, yes, Oregon does, man. In fact, Oregon has a very interesting close. They go to Iowa this weekend.
That's right.
They'll host Minnesota, so they'll win that.
Mm-hmm.
But then they host Southern California.
That could be
interesting. And they close with Washington.
And Washington's ranked. Right?
So, Oregon should be able to creep up rather nicely if all things remain equal and Oregon does find a way to win those games. Again, Jack Veltri asked us to do a write-up of another game since there's no Carolina game this week, and without giving it away because you can see it on Friday. But I wrote about that Oregon-Iowa game.
Nice.
That's all I'll say. I called it a trap game.
Which it could be. I mean, again, Iowa can bore you to death. I mean, Iowa hasn't beat a ranked team in a long time, but the trap is there. It just is, and it's reality. Well, I tell you, I'll throw you out really the other undefeated team we're not talking about because you remember they're hated by the college football playoff people is BYU.
Right.
BYU has a gigantic game with Texas Tech on Saturday in Lubbock. Let's say BYU navigates their way through that and they get a W. Then they'll take on a 6-2 TCU team. They will get Cincinnati, who is also 7-2, and then they
on the road.
And on the road, and then they end up with Central Florida, who is right around 500. So let's say BYU would win out just for fun. I mean, that's a pretty tough schedule when you've got a ranked team in Texas Tech, a top 10 team, and you have a 7-win team and a 6-win team. Does
11-1 BYU get in? And let me look at their standings. Let's see where
they're 7th right now.
Yeah, because then they've beaten Utah head to head. They would have beaten Cincinnati if they were 11-1. They would have lost to Texas Tech, assuming Texas Tech doesn't lose again. Those two teams, Terry, at that point would play for the Big 12.
Mm-hmm. And the winner of that game would be in. But the interesting thing is, does a 2-loss BYU or a 2-loss Texas Tech get in? I say probably not, just off the top of my head.
Probably not. Probably not.
I mean, yeah, that's a heck of a scenario in the Big 12 with those two. It just is.
Yeah. So, and again, Bama at this point 7-1. Bama and A&M are the teams that would play for the SEC if everything holds. Georgia would host the 12 seed, and that today would be Memphis. Mississippi would be a host, and Texas would barely be in. So that's kind of how things look at this point. But Texas still has Georgia, and I don't think Texas is going to beat Georgia.
And they've got A&M.
Or a week and a half.
And they got A&M too. Yep.
Yeah, I don't see Texas running the table. Sorry, Texas.
Yeah, no offense. I'm with you.
Yeah. All right, we'll redo start, bench, drop for you, and Terry has a little J or nay for me on the other side.
I will grab some Jay or nay here in a minute. Oh, I got a good Jay or nay story. I'm going to throw it at you. You're going to love it. And we got a little Dabo we're going to add in the Jay or nay, too. You'll enjoy that. But first, let's get our buddy Justin in here. Justin, thanks for calling the post-game show on the game. What's up, my friend?
How you doing, guys?
Good, Justin. What's up, bud?
Doing good, man.
Doing good. Hey, guys. I was saying soccer move. I'm not sure it was a time, but I think it's kind of too late. They should have done it back in October. And now, this is Shelby's fourth office coordinator next season. So this might be make a break for him next season. He's got to get this right, guys. He can't fool like he did last time around, you know. And also, Auburn, they'll be looking for a new football coach, too. It's going to be tough for Auburn, too, because you got Azure, Fort Arkansas. That's going to be hard to compete with the four SC jobs are open. And we got to see what Lee Kiffin going to do because he's got a big opportunity to take one of these jobs.
Yep, you're right. Thank you, Justin.
He does, man. Again, thanks, Justin. If I'm Lane, I'm telling you, Terry, I think you've already nailed it, man. I'm along for the ride. If I'm Lane, I'm staying. I really am. I think Eli goes to Florida and let LSU figure out their mess. But yeah, Justin, for Shane, absolutely. You gotta get this one right. And I don't know. Look, far be it for me to give Shane Beamer advice. But, I know Shane has maybe been, I don't want to say beholden, but maybe just more fond of somebody who wants to run something with a little more of a pro style. And that's fine. I like the way Dowell blended elements of both, Terry. And that's again, I think Dowell brought a lot of NFL concepts with him, but had those 2 years working with Kendall Briles out at Arkansas and finding ways to blend the game because it is different. It is. You know, I mean, we talk a lot about it, but I think you got to find ways to to better utilize your year-to-year talent relative to what it felt like with Mike Shula and maybe even in some ways Marcus Satterfield of here's the system I want to run, and I'm going to call the plays in the system. And talent be damned. I know it wasn't that stark, but it felt that way at times. And I felt like Dowell was somewhere different with that. I'd love to have seen Dowell be able to do some of his same concepts again this season. But, again, good for Dowell.
Yeah.
But Mike and Dowell are not the same guy when it comes to in-game play calling and creativity, in my opinion.
I think what Dowell did that I like the most is he said, you know what, I'm building the offense around my best players and I'm building around their skill set. I'm not going to, here's my offense, go run it, whether you're square peg, round hole, whatever. Dowell was like, look what he did. Look how he OC'd the offense for Spencer Rattler and OC'd the offense for Lenore Sellers. Totally different because they had different skill sets. Not to say Dowell was perfect. He wasn't, obviously. No OC is. But he recognized I've got to build the offense around the skill set of the players. And you saw it with those 2 years with Rattler and then Sellers. Oh, man, you ready?
But yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I got two for you. First of all, 6-time Super Bowl champion quarterback Tom Brady has admitted that he is an investor in a company, and this company has cloned his dog. His dog, Junie, is a clone of his late dog, Louie, whatever. But the bottom line is Tom Brady has announced that Colossal Biosciences has cloned his dog. This is creepy, Jay or nay?
Jay. It is. Look, for one thing, apparently there are some groups out there who believe he might not be telling the truth, and that he is only saying these things to pump up a company that he is investing in.
Right.
That says it wants to preserve animals. Very Jurassic Park, in my opinion. Maybe without the dinosaurs. So, look, I'm not here to go up or down on the company. I have no idea. I also heard that it might cost around $50,000 to clone a dog. Look, I have loved many of my dogs that have passed on, and if I could clone them, I would. But at the same time, Terry, I love the dogs I have, and I would urge people to go to your nearest shelter or rescue and adopt a pet rather than spend all that kind of money to clone a pet. Just me.
Yeah.
Just me. But, yes, there are things about this that I think are very uncomfortable.
Very weird. Very weird.
Yes.
All right. Dabo Sweeney Speaking on the poor state of officiating here in the last couple days, even talking about full-time officials, I believe. In agreement with Dabo on the poor state of officiating in college football, Jay or nay?
Well, I mean, Jay, I guess, yeah. I mean, I'd like it all to be better. And I do think, Terry, that both the NFL and the highest levels of collegiate football have the money to have full-time officials. The reason they're probably not going to do it is, A, you don't need them most of the year, and B, most of these men have really good jobs already, and then they get a nice, side gig when it comes to doing what they do at the NFL and college level. So they probably don't want to quit their job to become full-time officials anyway. But it would be nice to see, if they had a little bit better there's just so much subjectivity, Terry. I think that's part of the problem. And how we can remove a lot of subjectivity, I think, would go a long way towards fixing what ails football officiating. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, you got guys trying to officiate a very fast game played by very fast big people.
Yeah.
It's got to get better somehow.
It's easy to tell offsides, but there's a lot of things that are not easy to tell.
Absolutely. 5 o'clock news coming up. Oh, we got a few accidents to get to. In Columbia, Westcott Road between Bush River Road and Green Pines Road. Also, North Springs Road at Pond Ridge Road. in Lexington, Main Street near Gibson Road, and back in Columbia, Corley Mill Road near US 378 Sunset Boulevard. Coming up, 5 o'clock news sponsored by Integrated Media. Also a special high school football scoreboard show right after Gamecock women's basketball. Women's game will be from 7 to 9, and then a little bit around 9 o'clock, high school football scoreboard show with Elijah and Justin. That, again, is coming up Friday night right after Gamecock women's basketball right here on 107.5, the game in Columbia. Again, 5 o'clock news from our Buds Integrated Media next on the postgame show. All right, time to roll the 5 o'clock news here on the postgame show, sponsored by our Buds Integrated Media. With his finger in his ear, because he doesn't have an earpiece, from our cool new fancy sports update desk, Jay Phillips with the 5 o'clock news.
Yeah, I might touch my earpiece like this. Again, still, sir, in all the things that you've ever done at this radio station since you've become our program director. That's the single best thing you've ever done. I just want you to know that, all right? I just want you to know that. I mean, how many times have I heard that now? Seriously, like 500?
At least.
I laugh every time. I still laugh every time because it's real. That's the best part about that lady saying that. I might touch my earpiece like this. That's not made up.
The video is gold. Anyway.
Oh, that's not made up. It's real. I want everybody to know that's real. That's why I laugh every single time. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. It is 5 o'clock news time. South Carolina men's basketball got the season underway last night with a 91-72 victory over North Carolina A&T. That played last night at CLA. Michi Johnson led the Gamecocks with 14 points. Norden Kapich had 13. Kobe Knox added 12. Eli Ellis came off the bench with 11. So did Elijah Strong. Eli, the young freshman from North Carolina, actually led the team in minutes played last night off the bench. He was very good last night. 4 of 8. Hit one three-pointer last night. Also had 5 assists on the evening. Michi, by the way, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Gamecocks start 1-0, and Lamont Paris last night after the ball game on basically what he really liked from his team's opening.
I was happy with what the guys did. They seemed to have fun, and they shared the ball a lot. The numbers would tell you that. I didn't know the number until I got in after the game, but I knew it was a lot of sharing that was going on out there. And so I give the guys a lot of credit for that, honestly, because you can encourage sharing the ball, you can practice sharing the ball, and then when the game happens, I'm standing on the sidelines, and they're out there deciding whether they're going to share the ball or not share the ball, and they shared the ball. So they deserve a ton of credit for that. So I was really happy with how it went. There's a lot of teams that, these early season games, we fell victim to it last year in our opener. But there are a lot of teams today that were, or yesterday, whenever you open up, that were either breathing a sigh of relief that they escaped, even though they didn't play great, or there were a lot of teams that were just, questioning a lot of things the way that I was at the time when you lose the opener. But so I was glad the guys were able to play well overall, and some things we got to clean up for sure. But generally speaking, I was happy with the performance.
South Carolina last night shot 49% from the floor, held A&T to 43%. The Gamecocks hit 14 of 32 three-point shots, Terry, so about 44% from outside the arc for the Gamecocks. Very good. Out-rebounded A&T 40-31 overall. So a solid performance. And he mentioned sharing the basketball. The Gamecocks had 22 total assists on 31 made buckets last night.
That's fantastic, man. That's good stuff.
A nice win for South Carolina. Other bit of
before you move on from that real quick, the way this team is constructed this year. South Carolina took 63 total shots, Jay. 32% from three, so half of your shots were from three-point range. Get used to it. There are going to be a lot of threes raining down this year.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned it this morning when we were talking. More fun to watch. David Cloninger alluded to that too, and I think that's something that Lamont realizes needed to be done. Look, a lot of it's going to be based on who you've got and what they can do. And you don't have the most difficult non-con. You've got a couple of games in there that are going to be tough, no question about that. But a chance for this team to really gel a little bit and then get into what has now arguably become the toughest conference in the country. So, where this thing goes long term, don't know. But again, a nice – and remember, last year in the opener against North Florida, South Carolina lost, and it seemed to just set a tone for the entire season. I remember that, like, my God, you're gonna lose to these guys, and you shouldn't have. And again, it really did, Terry. It just seemed to kind of cast a cloud over the whole campaign. That may not necessarily, if you had beaten North Florida, does it mean you suddenly go 9-9 in the SEC? I don't know about that, but nevertheless. One other bit of news here. We'll have some more from Lamont on this team coming up in the Gamecock Notebook. But one bit of news that maybe caught some by surprise last night was Coach Paris in postgame announcing that E.J. Walker, a freshman from Kentucky, and local star Cam Scott will redshirt. And here is his explanation of those moves.
That's the plan. I've had conversations with both of them, and they have talked with their families and their inner circles, and they've conveyed that to me. Certainly at any point, if someone wants to pull the red shirt off, that's a thing that we can do. Honestly, I think it's a demonstration of commitment to what you believe about the future of those players. I mean, you think about it, if I didn't believe that those guys would be good players, I wouldn't let them redshirt so they could come back again. I think those guys are going to be good players. They've, Cam at least anyway. EJ wasn't here last year, but EJ's one of the most improved players from the day that we got here to right now. As you can see in the front court, we got a lot of guys that have performed well. Cam has also made tremendous improvement from last year to this year. I think the whole fleet of ships has risen as well. And so he's got some things that he wants to attack in during this season that are easier done while you're in a redshirt situation. Some of them being physically, some of them parts of his game he wants to improve, and then also on the scout team. I told him, I said, you got to take that team over. Like, there are going to be some days you're going to be a guy that assists like crazy. Other days you're going to be a guy that drives to the basket. Other days you're going to be a guy that's just a catch and shoot guy. And so all those things help a guy develop his game. So I think it could be really good for him.
So there you go, Terry. Again, a little surprising. Cam Scott had some things around him last year, obviously as a local kid, and there felt like maybe there was some turbulence, and that got settled. But now the potential to redshirt and really work on who he is as a player in person. Same thing with E.J. Walker. Again, being able to, as he said, pull that red shirt off is a thing. I'd be curious to know what that looks and feels like, say, over the coming – what are we talking about here? 6 weeks or so? Like before the end of the year, do you kind of decide something like that before conference play begins? I don't know. But I was not necessarily prepared to hear that last night.
I wasn't either, especially with Cam Scott. I mean, let's rewind here. This was a top 50 recruit in the country when Cam Scott flipped from Texas to South Carolina. He announced it here, remember?
Right.
And much was expected of Cam Scott, and he had an underwhelming freshman year. just struggled on both ends of the court. Minutes went down, and remember, he put himself in the portal. Let's not forget that either.
Yeah.
And then came back, and now he's going to. And again, look, I'm not arguing the point of redshirting. That's up to Cam and the family in Lamont Paris. It does surprise me when you look back at a guy coming in as a top 50 recruit, and then a guy that put his name in the portal to see what was out there now comes back and is redshirting. And look, this might be sometimes in life, Jay, you have to take a little step back and reevaluate to make yourself better moving forward to maybe achieve the potential that was there for you, right? So maybe that's what all this is about, that Cam wants to work on some things that he thinks will make him a better player, and Coach Paris and Cam's family all sat down and went, yep, this is what we need to do so Cam can take a step back to make big steps forward in the future.
We'll have more from Coach Paris in his postgame, talking about Michi's return to the ball club and what he likes about the roster overall after last night's opening 91-72 win over North Carolina A&T. In the meantime, one more Gamecock note. Congratulations to our very good friend Tony Annan, who has been Carolina's men's soccer coach the last 3 years. He and Jeremiah Donati have agreed to a 3-year extension to keep Tony Annan here in Columbia for many seasons to come. So congratulations to Coach Annan on that news.
Nice.
The
that
Atlanta
way we can
Braves.
Have him on the air some more, Jay, because
I love
accent.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He tells stories about being in the pub. It's great.
Well, and now that he, now that he knows Brian Johnson and dated Brian Johnson's daughter, and now that AC/DC is going to play Charlotte and Atlanta next year, just saying.
Could you see Annan showing up? Hey, Brian, remember me, Bob?
Oh, it ain't. I couldn't care less if he goes. I just want him to get me in to meet Brian Johnson and Angus Young.
What if Brian Johnson's
I don't want
daughter?
Brian to punch him. You're the one that I can't do the Brian. You know, Brian Johnson's singing voice and speaking voice are two incredibly different things.
Yes.
But I forget which comedian. Some comedian has a bit on that that's really funny. Now I can't think of the comedian, but it's really funny.
Really quick, and then obviously we can get to the Braves. Tony Annan, Brian Johnson, Brian Johnson's daughter, all in the backstage room before going on. How fun would that be?
I don't know. I don't know that the longtime Mrs. Annan now would be real keen on any of that. So let's not get Tony in trouble. Okay, we're not here for that. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for
Atlanta
that.
Braves. The
Atlanta Braves have made moves today. First off, the Braves exercised the option to keep former Cy Young winner Chris Sale on the staff for the 2026 season. Terry, I say only. I know it's a lot of money, but Chris Sale will make $18 million next year. That almost feels like a bargain for a guy like that. He went 7-5 last year. Remember, he was on the IL for 60 days last year, so he missed more than 2 months. But he went 7-5 with a 2.58, struck out 165 hitters in only 125 and 2/3 innings. In the 6 starts after his return, he had a 2.72, struck out 52 in 36 1/3. So he was on top of his game last year. Unfortunately, for a big portion of the middle of the season, he had a cracked rib and he couldn't pitch.
Yeah, that was a problem.
Can't pitch well with a cracked rib.
No.
I wouldn't know, but having pitched, I would imagine that if I had had a cracked rib, I would not have been very effective.
You can't breathe with a cracked rib. Jeez.
When I had intact ribs, I was not always a great high school pitcher. The Braves also, speaking of pitching, announced today that they have hired Jeremy Hefner to become their new pitching coach. He was fired by the New York Mets after the season. He was there 6 years, but in those 6 years, he had 6 All-Star selections, and the Mets had the 6th best ERA in the National League during that time. That's 6 out of 15, so he's also worked in the Twins organization. He's only 39 years old, but the Braves feel good about this. They have also announced the hiring of former Mets first base coach Antoine Richardson, who very briefly played for the Atlanta Braves back in the day. He was first base coach, outfield coordinator, and base running instructor the last 2 seasons. They did lead the league in stolen base percentage at 89.1%. So those two are now members of the Atlanta Braves staff. There you go.
There you go.
And by the way, sorry, I did have one more Gamecock note. I knew I was missing something on the Gamecocks. If you missed it, we talked about it earlier, but Shane Beamer announced today that Mike Furry will be the primary play caller for Gamecock football. Shane said on the SEC teleconference, quote, "I wouldn't say we have an OC for the rest of the season. We have a really talented offensive staff that each and every – hang on a minute here. My computer is messing up on me, Terry. That each and every week comes to work." Well, now I apologize, people. My computer is going nuts on me here. Here we go. We have an offensive staff that each and every week, as we always do, works together on the offensive line, which is what they've been doing to put together the game plan. And then on game day, the primary play caller will be Mike Furry. But like I said, the plan and what we're calling, that's put together during the week. He will just be the main guy that's talking to the quarterback and communicating the play to him on game day. So there you go, the quote from Shane Beamer. Again, a solid move. Don't know how it'll work out. You had to do something different, and you have to do something different with what you have at your disposal. You can't go out and grab somebody else's OC in the middle of the season. So this is where they are, Terry. That's all you can say about that. We'll come back on the other side. Gamecock Notebook, more from Lamont Paris after the opening win. It's the postgame show.
All right. Time to check our Gamecock notebook. Well, Jay's Gamecock notebook. Nice leather bound.
Well, this is really Tyler's Gamecock notebook. By the way, I just want to say, because we were mentioning Tony Annan extending his contract here at Carolina as men's soccer coach, which I'm happy about. Tony's a good dude. And then we talked about Brian Johnson and AC/DC, and then there was a commercial in between for the AC/DC tour that's coming around next summer. Again, they're playing Charlotte. That's the one where you're playing on our station is the Charlotte show. They're also playing Atlanta. But I'll just say again, if you've never seen AC/DC live, you got to go see it.
Even now.
Have you seen AC/DC?
I have not seen AC/DC live. I'd love to. That's the one I'd love to see.
And I saw them in an arena, so now they're playing. I mean, they can, and they used to play. They just, when I saw them, they played Carolina Coliseum, but they can do whichever. The stadium, arena, it doesn't matter. I've never seen them in a stadium, but I've seen a couple of their concert videos in stadiums, and it's just spectacular. But I gotta hit one of those two, man. I gotta hit one of those two, whether it's Charlotte or Atlanta. I don't know, but. Maybe I'll try to get Atlanta because it'll be air conditioned. It's in July.
Yeah, Sweaty Jay will show up. Yeah, you need to probably go indoors.
So that's another reason I got to get better quick, man. So whatever's going to be happening to me here soon, I got to have goals to like things to go do.
You got stuff. So I want to go. You got a list, man. You got to get popping.
Yeah, so I'm ready to get my treatments going and get this thing out of here, and then go back to going to AC/DC shows. That'll be one of the first questions I ask next week. I'll be like, "Hey, Doc,
right?
I want to go see AC/DC next summer. What are we doing about this? Let's make that happen." But anyway, Gamecock notebook time. South Carolina beat NC A&T last night, 91-72 to open the men's basketball season. And a familiar face is back on the Carolina roster. If you didn't already know, Meechie Johnson at Ohio State, then at South Carolina, back to Ohio State, back to South Carolina. Here's Lamont Paris on bringing Meechie back to Columbia.
I'll tell you the thing that's one of the best things. I really like our team. This is the third year I've been around Meechie, and I've known their family for a long time, his uncle and whatnot. But I love being around him. He's got a great energy and a vibe to him. But the real value of him and Miles also is instantaneously when you have 12 new guys, instantaneously you have a couple of guys that just speak your language, and you forget about that. You forget about that, and right away he understands what you say. He can finish some of your sentences. He gets your jokes. You've told him before, so I don't know if he really thinks they're funny, but anyway, I think just his presence has been very important and refreshing. He's a natural leader. He's also a hard worker. It's nice when leaders are also hard workers, and so I thought it was critical to have him back into the fold for us this year, and it was a very important step in assembling this group.
Meechie last night, 24 minutes, 14 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, just 1 turnover, 5 of 13 overall from the floor, including 2 of 5 from three-point range, Terry. But again, maybe last year at times we did see a lack of leadership, and I think this team missed Meechie last year. I really do, and I think that now that he's back, and he mentioned Miles Studi and what he can provide. And Miles last night, let me look and see. Hold on, if I can get once again, my computer just does not want to work for me this afternoon for whatever reason. Miles played 21 minutes last night. You need that. You need a veteran presence to help guide guys, whether they're new to the program or not, especially if they're new to the college atmosphere. So that's a big plus for Carolina, in my opinion. Again, where it takes him, I have no idea, but it's good to have him back, and I think you can tell in Lamont's voice he's glad Meechie's here again.
Well, I think what Meechie brought was like a toughness and intensity, a little edge to the basketball team a couple years ago, and you didn't have that last year. And no offense to the guys who were there last year. I mean, look, Colin Murray-Boyle was the first-round pick in the NBA draft. But, Colin, very laid-back guy, very even-keeled, and, again, nothing wrong with that. But Jay, it's good to have a guy with a little bit of something, a little bit of intensity, a little edge, a little more outward like leadership, toughness type of thing, and that's what Michi brought them, in my opinion, 2 years ago when they ran to the NCAA tournament. I just didn't think they had that last year. Like, remember they were going through that funk at times, and they couldn't finish games and things of that nature. I don't know how much it's going to help but maybe having a guy who could, get up in there and have a little real conversation with his teammates about where it's going. How much that could have helped, I don't know. I just don't think they had that last year, if that makes any sense.
I don't think they did. I don't. And I think back to, that backcourt that went to the tournament of Michi and Talon Cooper. And Talon was maybe a little quieter, Michi a little more demonstrative. And while certainly Miles Studi is not the one that Talon was, maybe he is more of that steady presence. Again, I think you got to have – you got to have a mix of that. You got to have the fiery guy too, and the vocal guy. Maybe not always fiery. I don't want to put too much on Michi, but I think he is very vocal, and he does wear his heart on his sleeve a lot. And I do think those things can be important. But he's certainly seen a lot of college basketball. On that note, a lot of guys got minutes last night. Everybody that played, I retweeted this from Derek Scott, the voice of the Gamecocks, who was with us yesterday. Everybody that played last night had at least one assist. Typically, you like to talk about it from having one basket, but in terms of sharing the ball. But here's Coach Paris on a deeper look at the amount of guys he's got on his roster that he believes in.
Yeah, it met my expectation. My expectation really, I've been around these guys for a long time, so, I just kind of wanted to get the ball tossed up in the air and let the guys go out there and play. And so I didn't have a whole lot of expectations other than the fact that we would compete really hard, that we would cheer one another on and support one another, and that we would hopefully play an unselfish brand of basketball when we got out there. And that really, so by those standards, we exceeded what any expectation I had was to that end. And then, if you look back, 2 years ago, we had 10 players that averaged double figures minutes and also played in 70% of the games or more. It's one thing, you got a guy who plays 5 games and he averaged 10 points or 10 minutes in those games and he never plays the rest of the season. We had 10 guys who played 10 minutes or more, averaged 10 minutes or more, and played in 70% of the games or more. If you look back to my last year at Chattanooga, we had 10 guys that played double figures. I just have always liked a lot of guys. I think you can play harder when you have more guys that can go in. I think you can sustain injury. I think you can sustain foul trouble. I think you can sustain poor play. I think you can sustain a lot more. I think you have better camaraderie when a lot of guys are going to go in the game. Throw Eli Sparkman in there and he went out there and played. And so, here's what I want to dispel. Everybody, it's like, oh, there's Eli Sparkman. Like, he's back here for a reason. This is not some sort of charitable action for me to have him back here. And so, put him in the game, and he did the things that I thought he would do.
So, Terry, deep, again, game one, try not to make too much of this, especially against an opponent that you were supposed to beat and did, but unlike last season's opener, they were supposed to beat that opponent and did not. So they've set a different tone, and this team looks very different, sharing the ball, shooting threes, and everybody having some fun. So we'll see where this takes us. But that's our Gamecock Notebook for this Wednesday. We'll come back on the other side. LSU has already made some adjustments as they search for a new football coach. We'll get into that for you and how the SEC shook out in the first CFP ranking. You're listening to the postgame show.
Oh, take a look at the roads real quick. We have stopped traffic, Sunset Boulevard westbound between Corley Mill Road and Hope Ferry Road. Again, traffic has been stopped in Lexington. Also in Lexington, accident reported Old Cherokee Road at South Carolina 6. That's North Lake Drive. Two Notch Road at South Lake Drive, an accident as well. Trenholm Road near Highway 16, North Beltline Boulevard in Richland, also an accident has been reported. We'll hop back to our drive around the SEC here on the post-game show. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford here on the game. Post-game show, time to get us our drive around the SEC. Live from Greg Sankey's basement. Our buddy Jay Phillips.
He's got pinball machines.
Does he? Just like here.
Yep. No, he's got like 6.
His are nicer than ours, no doubt.
But ours is
right?
nice, man. That's one that I miss. I miss being in the office because I hadn't played my Avengers pinball in a while, man. So why don't you bring that to me?
You know what? That we should, just to make you feel more comfortable and to kind of get your mind in a good place. We'll bring you the Avengers pinball machine.
Yeah, bring me the pinball machine. I could just put it in there. We got a truck.
We could do that. I think it'd be perfect. And then, of course, you would definitely bring it back, right, Jay?
Yeah, no, permanently borrow it. Hey, that's not stealing. That's a permanent borrowing. Louisiana State, to start our drive around the SEC, has promoted Verge Osbury to athletic director. They took off the interim tag. He had, "Hi, my name is Verge," and it said interim. And they just ripped it off, Terry. They just ripped it right off of there. Now, they were actually waiting. They hired a new school president, Wade Rousset. He was hired this week, and his first order of business had nothing to do with school. He made sure they had an athletics director. That was the first thing he did. It said his first day in the office. And he made Verge the AD. Now, in all seriousness, Verge Osbury's been at LSU for 30 combined years as both a football player way back in the day and multiple roles within the athletics department. He said last week that he has full authority to hire the next football coach, but that there is a search committee in place.
Say that again. I need to laugh. Say that one more time.
Full authority to hire. There you go.
Oh man!
But anyway, he's the
slapper right there, Phillips. Anyway, go ahead.
He's the full-time AD now. So congratulations, I think. Congratulations to
paycheck
Verge
will look
Osbury.
good.
If nothing else, there's probably a few extra digits in the paycheck every couple of weeks. The Southeastern Conference got 9 schools in the first CFP poll. Number 3, A&M. Number 4, Alabama. Number 5, Georgia. Number 6, Mississippi. Number 11, Texas. Number 12, Oklahoma. Number 16, Vanderbilt. All of those schools, I would say, are still alive for an opportunity. Missouri and Tennessee are number 21 and 25 in the poll. I guess Mizzou could win out, Terry, but I don't think they're gonna.
Nah.
And if Tennessee were to win out, does a 9-3 Tennessee? I don't know. I don't see
Doesn't
it.
feel
Tennessee,
that way. Doesn't feel that way, Jay.
Not right now. Tennessee has New Mexico State. They're off this weekend, are the Vols. New Mexico State, at Florida, and they host Vanderbilt. I just they needed to win that Oklahoma game.
Yeah, and that was in your barn.
Yeah.
And you let that one slip away because you made mistakes. And now I don't see it either, man. I really don't. Don't see it with Tennessee.
And with Mizzou, they've got A&M this weekend. Mizzou's on a freshman quarterback, so I don't really see their opportunity either. For Vandy, if Vandy can find a way to win out.
The key one is beating Tennessee at the end of the year.
Tennessee in Knoxville, and I'm looking at that one right now. 43% chance for Vandy to win that game. It's doable. It is. Before that, they've got Auburn and Kentucky. So they should beat Auburn and Kentucky. Both of those are in Nashville before they go to Knoxville.
And honestly,
to close out the season.
Would it surprise either one of us if Vandy found a way to win in Knoxville? Absolutely not. No,
it would not. Not this version of Vandy.
How weird
it
is
would
this?
Not.
How weird is this to say this out loud?
Yeah. Well, and look, here's the thing, and look, we can just sit here and talk hypotheticals. That's part of what we do. Look, Tennessee again. They're off Saturday. They'll beat New Mexico State.
Yep.
But what if they go to Gainesville and lose?
Yeah.
If Tennessee goes to Gainesville and loses, any semblance of hope is completely evaporated by then. And that may provide a little extra momentum for Vanderbilt. I don't know. I would still expect Vandy to go to Knoxville and lose.
Yep.
But you never know.
Hey, I'll say this real quick about that Tennessee point you just made about Florida. Look, Florida and talent is not the reason why Billy Napier is fired. They've got talent. Ask Texas. When Texas went there and played their D game and got beat, if Tennessee doesn't show up there ready to rumble, you could very well lose that game in the swamp. Yeah.
Yeah, look, Florida did a nice job against Georgia. Florida can play defense, Terry. Florida can play defense. It's ironic that Billy Napier, the play caller and the offensive guy and the quarterback coach, is the one who seemingly couldn't get enough things going for what they needed to do. But I was very impressed with Florida's defense against Georgia the other day, and I think they can make some things happen. We'll see. But anyway, so again, 9 schools. That's the most of any conference. The Big Ten had 7 in there, and the highest ranked ACC school, by the way, was Virginia at number 14. This weekend, speaking of Georgia, they go to Mississippi State. Bulldogs, home Bulldogs. Oh, sorry about that. Home Bulldogs, 8.5-point underdogs, Terry. There's a lot of dogs in that thing I just said. I should start that over if I could, but I can't now. I mentioned A&M going to Missouri. Mizzou plus 6.5. Auburn at Vanderbilt. Vandy is minus 6.5. Florida goes to Kentucky. The Cats plus 3.5 at home. I could see Kentucky winning that, but I could see Florida beating them badly. Again, that Kentucky-Auburn game the other day, just gross.
Yeah.
Just gross.
That's like mental eye torture.
Yeah, that's just ugh. And LSU at Alabama. Alabama a 9.5-point favorite over LSU at this point in time. Best chance of an upset, Terry. Missouri over A&M. Mississippi State over Georgia. Could Auburn beat Vandy? I don't think LSU's going to win.
I tell you, here's a problem with Missouri. You got like you said, a freshman quarterback starting because Prabula's out. If you got Prabula, obviously it's a different line. But I think it's a lot to ask for Missouri to win that game with a freshman quarterback. That's me. I think it's tough. That's a tough call, man. That's a tough call.
I don't like Auburn's chances.
No.
And again, Florida at Kentucky. I don't know.
I'm not feeling any of these for upset, man. I'm just not feeling it. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I feel like the Florida-Kentucky atmosphere is going to be, like the other day I had to go get a root canal.
You actually
and I probably
did.
had, and I probably had more fun.
And it was better atmosphere. It was a better atmosphere, probably. So
yeah. It was. Dr. Jett did a great job. Kevin Jett. Way to go, Kevin. Thank you. He was great. So was his assistant. They had 80s music on, so that was fun.
And you told me you refused any Novocaine because you're such a bad dude.
I toughed it out, man.
Yeah. You took the instruments and stuck them in your own mouth. You were a crazy man.
That's right. No, he numbed it up real nice, and it was all good. But, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, but that's a true story. Had to have a root canal the other day. You wouldn't have even known it, right?
That's why
it was yesterday.
That's why I started laughing, because people will make that joke. I'd rather have a root canal than you actually did.
I really did.
You really did.
I really did. I'd never had one. And it wasn't the worst thing I've been through dentally in my life. So there's that. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. And I know this will come around as part of Jay versus the Internet, but I want to say I nailed it. Duke beat Texas last night in men's basketball, 75-60, and I told you John Shire was going to want to light a fire under his Duke guys and get them going, and apparently that's exactly what he did with one of Carlos Boozer's kids.
Yep.
He's like, man, you got to go out there and play. And then they won by 15.
Right.
So.
They covered. Well, you know what they said? Shire said to his team, hey, Jay Phillips picked us in Jay versus the Internet. Let's get out there and tear it up.
Yeah. I'm not patting myself on the back, per se.
No. You kind of are just broke an arm to pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but my shoulder hurts now. So. now I got to go see an orthopedist about that. So everything I'm doing is just falling apart. Man.
Why not,
Falling apart. That's the drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevy. We'll give you our start bench drop choices, and we'll do Jay versus the Internet on the other side.
All right, we will get to Jay versus the Internet in a second, but first we got to get our start bench drop. And we got to reset it and then tell you what we would do. Go ahead there, my man.
Start bench drop. These are the first three teams on the outside looking into the bracket based on the college football playoff poll that came out last night. Number 11, Oklahoma. Number 12, Utah. Number 13, Virginia. And again, well, I guess it's 12, 13, 14, excuse me. But again, they wouldn't be in because that 12th spot would have to go to the highest ranked group of 5 school, and that is currently Memphis. So these three are technically on the outside looking in. So start bench drop with your starter being the one that you think is most likely to find its way into. I'm going to start Oklahoma. I'm going to bench Virginia. Actually, well, see, this is tough, Terry, because somebody's got to win the ACC, right? Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, that is the thing. And I was looking at that during the break. Dude, that's a mosh pit, the ACC.
But Virginia's the highest-ranked team. Like, Virginia, Georgia Tech, technically Miami still has a shot. Pitt could do something if there's some craziness.
Well, Duke's got one loss, too, and Duke, Virginia's got to go to Duke.
Yeah. All right, never mind. I'm going to start. I guess I'll have to start Virginia then. I'll start Virginia, bench Oklahoma, and I'm dropping the Utes.
Makes sense. I mean, yeah, see, I'm the same way about Virginia. I'm starting Virginia because, again, their other 3 games are winnable. 2 are at home. They've got Duke and Durham, and Duke's got one loss. So if Duke would upset Virginia, upset, strong word, and who knows who's going to be favored at that point.
I know what you mean.
So if that does happen, then Virginia will have one loss. If Georgia Tech continues on, they'll have one conference loss. They still got to play Georgia. Pitt right now has one conference loss. Louisville, SMU, Duke. If Virginia does lose, this thing goes sideways.
Yeah, I'm here for the chaos.
Oh yeah, it's fun. So
and eventually it would be Jim Phillips, commissioner, no relation, like pulling names out of a hat.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? That's kind of fitting for the ACC, isn't it?
I know, right?
Yeah. By the way, and the Utah thing, Utah's got 2 losses. Now, they did beat Cincinnati. They didn't play Houston. If Texas Tech loses and they have 2 losses, they have the tiebreakers. They whooped Utah, remember? So I guess for me, it's start Virginia, bench Oklahoma, and drop Utah.
Yep.
Have to be the way to go.
By the way, Duke, that game is next weekend, Duke, Virginia in Durham. Duke, 58% chance to win.
Yeah, so we could have some serious chaos, my friend.
Good.
Which we like.
I'm here for it. I love chaos.
We love chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos is great.
That's right.
All for it. By the way, nice work by you yesterday.
Yeah, how'd I do?
You tore it up. I believe 3-0 yesterday, my man.
Sweet.
Look at you. Act like you almost knew what you were doing. You ought to get a root canal more often. Good job. All right.
Let's not do that, but sure.
Weekly. You need a weekly root canal.
Yeah. I got so many teeth. So.
All right, here we go. We got some action tonight. Kent State at 3-5 travels to Ball State 3-5. Ball State 3.5-point favorites.
Give me the home team. Give me Ball State. That sounds good.
The Fighting Clingers, Toledo at 4-4, hosting Northern Illinois at 2-6. Toledo 14.5-point favorites at home against Northern Illinois.
That's too many points. Give me Northern Illinois plus the points.
Nice. And in college basketball for the men, number 23 Creighton, hosting South Dakota, team last year that won 19 games. Creighton's opener, South Dakota's lost one already. Creighton is a 29.5-point favorite.
Creighton is very good at basketball.
Yes, they are.
29, though.
Yeah, man, it's a big number.
Early in the season.
It's a big number.
I don't know. There were some blowouts the other day. Nah, give me. I want those points. So give me South Dakota.
Yeah, that's a lot of points, man.
That's a lot of points. I mean, it went by 27, and I'm still in good shape.
Yeah, think about that for a minute. Creighton can roll them by 25, and they can play people out of the stands, and you still would cover.
Yeah. All right, I want those points.
All right, ready? What's the biggest point thing? The Toledo 14.5 or the Creighton 29.5? Which one's more wow?
Well, just how football works.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. I don't know how. I don't know enough about South Dakota basketball. Creighton's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Creighton's really good. So I guess I'll say that one. I don't know.
I mean,
they're about equal.
Toledo's like 4-4. You're thinking, man, Northern Illinois must really stink.
Yeah, and I like Northern Illinois. Sometimes they're good. So
yeah, they've had decent years before. Like the MAC, you know the MAC. Every now they take turns.
Yeah, they do. That's a nice league. They share.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Most of them do, anyway. Most of them do. Hey, by the way, speaking of all these things and how you can or can't watch them, Disney is apparently losing slightly north of $5 million per day on this YouTube TV dispute. So they're basically looking at today is going to make, what, $25 million.
No, have you done anything? Are you still hanging on with no serve? Did you go do something else on the 7-day trial?
I didn't do anything yet because I didn't feel like it the other day. I've got a potential workaround, but if this goes into this weekend, then I'm saying goodbye to YouTube TV.
Just telling you, I know a guy. It's only a little bit illegal. It's only a little bit illegal.
All right, we'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks to David Cloninger. See you.
Men's Clinic of South Carolina. We talk about it a lot here. You're a guy and, you're getting older and you lose testosterone. And sometimes things that you took for granted, you can't take for granted anymore. And it might just be low T. There's one way to find out. You call 803-875-MENS. Men's Clinic of South Carolina. You tell Dr. Dan and the staff the story. You go in for a free confidential consultation. If they think it could be low testosterone, whatever your issues are, they'll do some lab work. If it comes back, low testosterone, they'll then put you on a plan specifically designed for you to get you back to feeling like you again. No matter what that issue is, 803-875-MENS. Just make the call, go in, talk to the folks at the Men's Clinic. It might just be low testosterone. They can help at the Men's Clinic.